welcome to what will be week 1 of the figure drawing classes that we're going to be teaching here. So today we're going to be doing 3 things. We're going to be going over some warm-ups with geometric forms, like basic geometric shapes, and some lines and stuff that you'll be using to construct figures. We're going to do that for about a half hour, actually maybe a little under, and I'll also introduce you to the Loomis skeleton, which is this mannequin that is over on this page here. Just make sure that that is this on the right image I want it to display out. Let's see here. There we go, this guy. So this guy is pretty flexible and you can do a lot with him. You also can draw like less detailed versions of him, kind of like use like those little lines there, for example. But it's an excellent tool for like figure quick sketch. And it's something that beginners can have an easier time wrapping around, and it's great for advanced people too. And this is a little preview of where we're going to be heading in the future. Not entirely, like we're going to be combining some Loomis stuff with some other things and other approaches to drawing, but this guy right here shows a proportional turnaround, which is something else we're going to touch on, but we're not going to dwell too long on, because this proportional figure exercise is something that you kind of need to do on your own time to really get into. So I strongly recommend doing that. Like, part of the homework this week is going to be a turnaround of a proportional figure, where you measure out the lines, like for the size of the head, the chest, like that, where the chest, where the pectorals are, where the bottom of the rib cage is, where the knees are, and so on. And you keep in mind the proportions. So one of the big things about that is heads are used as a unit of measurement for figure drawing, and that's why I've been concentrating so much on a head drawing class at the beginning of the week on Mondays for the last 6-7 weeks or so. This is week 7 essentially for head drawing. Like a lot of you will probably remember from Monday, like this guy right here, the Loomis head. Right here. And I'll provide a link in chat a little bit for the books that this stuff is from. But the Andrew Loomis head is a basic headland, essentially, for making a unit of measurement in 3D space for a head. And when you're doing figures, you're going to be using the head as a unit of measurement for a lot of stuff, like the normal idealized size of a figure is 8 heads. 8 of these guys stacked on top of each other, basically. And then you can use these guys to kind of measure different areas of the body too, and to kind of not lose track of how long things are supposed to be. You can kind of use them to guesstimate like how things are going to change when they distort in foreshortening. But in terms of like getting you started with like keeping things at a good ratio, like the whole point of proportions is to keep things at a plausible ratio. Like 8 units of measurement is the idealized measurement that you'll use. There's other people's like body proportions, or other like more realistic looking body proportions are usually like 7.5 heads or stuff like that. And children actually have somewhat different proportions than adults. But like the idealized kind of heroic fashion model sort of 8 heads height is a good one to start with because it's easier to keep track of. So we got roughly about 8 heads there. And then from this, we can do, let's group that in a folder real quick. And from that we can get like kind of like a ground plane here. This is kind of an angle, so I'm going to do that a bit, but I'm going to add a horizontal ground plane here. And then I can kind of use the heads as my unit of measurement for figuring out like about where the different proportions of the body are. Like, I think the knees would be about here, and so on. We'll get more into this a little later. I'm just showing where this is going. I'm jumping ahead of things a little bit because I wanted to get into geometric shapes first, but I'm just showing a little bit ahead of where we're going to be going with this stuff this evening. I just wanted to rough this out, partly for my own warm-up sake, to come back to after we do some geometric shapes. We'll talk a little bit about anatomy. Like, I think that the best way to... Well, we're going to avoid, like, super complex anatomy stuff, but we're not going to run away from anatomy entirely for this stuff. We're going to go into how bits and pieces of anatomy work on this, on these and stuff, like how the... and why we're simplifying things the way we are, and how they work anatomically and stuff. Maybe that's more heels. Looks like he's about to fall over backwards a little bit. I want to adjust the positions of the legs a bit, but in any case, yeah, I mean, like, you can basically, like, use, that's sort of how you use the head as a unit of measurement for kind of working out proportions of a figure. But that's my quickie warm-up of that idea right there. So we're going to jump away from this for a little bit, and we're going to go into geometric forms for the next, I want to say, 20 minutes or so. So be ready to draw along. So those of you who have, yeah, I think you're right actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is 7 heads, you're right. Well spotted. But it still works. I mean, there's 7 head proportion figures. I just kind of guesstimated. I just wanted to run through a quick demo here of that. We'll go back and we'll do like the proper 8 heads things. I just wanted to touch on that real quick before we actually like pulled out the Andrew Loomis stuff and we started going into like how he actually breaks it down a little bit. But yeah, let's see here. So there's a site that I've been pointing people towards through our Discord a lot, especially beginners, called Draw a Box. I'm putting it up on screen now. I would recommend joining their Discord. They have a Discord too. But what this is, it's the name of the site is deceptive. It's not about just drawing boxes. It's about core draftsmanship principles of understanding how things work in 3D space, like ellipses and cubes and so on, and lines. So on that note, what we're going to be doing right now is some of the kind of stuff that they teach here, but I want to give people some tools of warm-ups. So on my screen right now, I'm going to start with a basic line drill exercise. And this basic line drill exercise is you make 2 dots, and you just try to connect between them in a smooth, quick line, using your arm and your shoulder to draw from. I'm not going to do too many of these, but this is a way to kind of just like warm up your ability to draw and aim. It's like warming up your ability to aim when you're drawing, essentially. Yeah, I didn't draw 2 points there, I just drew out from it. Another you can do is parallel lines exercise like that. You just do a bunch of these. Like so. So beyond the line stuff, oh yeah, you can also do a curve exercise, which I kind of like. This kind of cascading curve effect right here. You can also do this. Bunch up the curve a little bit and bring it out. This is kind of just like getting your hand to feel around in, like, in terms of flow and stuff. And then from there you start getting into drawing circles and ellipses. So for these, you can, before you even put a mark down on the paper, before you put a mark down on the paper, ghost your line. That means, you see what I'm doing on the screen right there with my little cursor? Before I even put down the mark, I kind of visualize it and sort of practice the motion a bit. So I don't necessarily do it every time, but I do it when I want to try to see if I can get a better result by like just kind of warming up the motion of the hand. So you can do a bunch of these. Like you'd want to do like these like maybe for about like 10 minutes before you warm up for a drawing class or a drawing session, or when you're going to be starting to do like art commissions for the day or something. You can do these circles. You can do elongated ellipses like these, kind of. You can warp them out and do like egg shapes. Like that little pointy egg shape right there. And once you get warmed up with ellipses, then you can do this. Make two ellipses here. Maybe make it like a little line between them like that. Do something like this, and then you make more ellipses inside of it, like that. They don't have to be perfect. You're just warming up your ability to gauge with this stuff. So we're seeing this side of the ellipse and that side of the ellipse, which means this is going to turn over at some point in here. So I'm going to decide at this point right here is the halfway point where the ellipse turns over. So the ellipses are going to get narrower and narrower as they go towards there. They get a little wider here. You can do several of these, like you can do one there, just about, and then I'm going to have an ellipse that's turned downward, like right there. On the side, it's going to curve like that. Actually, I don't really like that. I'll do this. So these are just warm-up exercises. They're not supposed to be perfect. It's just a simple way to get your hand and eye engaged with what you're drawing. So I decided that this one might be facing downward here. You can also do a version of this where you just draw concentric circles. We did a little bit of that on Wednesday with this thing called the tornado, which is like this. You can change direction. Like these are coming towards us, these are going to the side now. These are coming more towards us and getting bigger, and now these are shrinking and going to the left side here. You make lots of tubes. You can also do this. Make two parallel lines. Then close off the ends of it with ellipses like that. So I'm going to say that that one is facing towards us and that one's facing away from us. So I might erase a little bit of that just to kind of indicate that. I create some other lines wrapping over it right here. This almost looks like it might be a thigh or something from how I drew it. And then I add, and because this is like a thigh, I'm going to decide where the top of the thigh is. Maybe the top of the thigh is about here. So I could do like a little cube shape on the end here. This is a kind of a pseudo study of like a geometric form of a thigh. Maybe add another cylinder down here, or like a calf or something. Really small calf, though. But you get the idea. You can play with interlocking these forms together. Because you're going to be doing this when you're doing figures. And I like what people are mentioning in chat, in Twitch chat right now. It is very, very, very important to read the text of the Draw a Box site lessons. Like, the reason why you want to read the text is like people say, "Oh, I'm just going to jump right in and do the lessons." Derp-de-der. No. Read the text and watch these videos that are in here, like this. Whoop. Let's get that off screen actually, because I might get a copyright strike for that. Watch these videos. It's very important. They give full explanations of why you're doing these exercises. Read it. Like, pay attention to what they're saying, and because it's a lot of this is about a lot of this initial stuff is about changing your mindset and understanding how you're going to practice this stuff in order to get better at it. Like, it's important for you that you understand this, so you know how to pace yourself, so that you practice in a way that's not going to burn you out, that gives you time to breathe and time to have fun, and use this stuff every day. And they go over like key concepts and materials you need and stuff. Like lesson 0 is just like literally about getting started and stuff. So go through this. This is not. I've read like most of this. I actually want to possibly lead a draw box class in the future on this stuff. So we're gonna dip a little bit into that kind of stuff here. They go over materials, and lesson 1 goes over to ellipses and boxes. And when you see, look at this. This is that line drill I was just showing at the beginning here. There's some other exercises they show here as well. They show how to draw. Like, you need to draw from your shoulder, like here. But anyway, so we're going to do some quick cube demos real quick. And we've shown off a little bit of cylinders. I'm going to show off some cubes. So, cubes is another thing you want to practice when you're warming up. Like, it engages your ability to think three-dimensionally. And the other thing about cubes is you will use them as building blocks in making figures, like, or even doing studies. Like, I'm a fan of the triple cube method as a figure studying tool, and it's really handy if you're trying to work out figures in perspective too. Where you start with like a line of action usually. I actually started with a head here, but I can just use that as a guide point for the line of action. Then you add like 3 additional cubes on it, following the line of action. Let's see, that's the shoulders. We'll make the hips maybe tilt a bit like this. See the top of the box of the pelvis there. And you can do that like in any kind of pose you want to experiment with using this method. You don't have to draw full cubes initially. You can draw squares and rectangles, and then you decide what direction they're facing by just adding a little cube extrusion like that. Maybe even darkening in one side to show where the shadow is, more indicate where the side is. I would say that like the ratio for how you should study, how much time you should invest in your study sessions, is about 3 hours. Because like the first hour you're going to be struggling, and I actually want people here to be trying to warm up using some of these exercises I'm showing off here. This little thing right here, you can do that on your own without any reference. You can play with this and try putting it in different poses and so on. Let's try some really wild ones here. Top plane of the box there. Pelvis there. But that's an example of how you utilize cubes to figure out figures. And look at that, look at that. See, we got this? I can just do like some parallel lines right here for the limbs. Off the sides here. And then if I want to make them into shapes, I just add little cylinder ends or box ends if I want to on the ends of them. And for fun, I'm adding a little silly face there with kind of maybe an extruded nose a little bit like that. Yeah, when you're doing these, when you're warming up, and maybe even like between drawings a little bit, you might take about 5 minutes or something to, between drawing sessions, take like 5 minutes to kind of do some cubes or something sometimes, or some cylinders or whatever. I'll show you some of the other stuff I've been doing today to warm up for this class, teaching this class. Here, let's see here. These were some warm-ups I did, really stodgy warm-ups I did last night, and then I started getting into doing Loomis head drills, which is a continuity from what I taught on Monday's class. Then I started playing with geometric shapes and those parallel line things I was talking about to invent figures. These are all invented figures. This drawing from my visual library of figure poses, like none of these were referenced. And you can see like me doing like cylinders and stuff, maybe playing with a cylinder shape for the head, just for fun. Really narrow box head there, so on. The foot's bugging me right now. I'm gonna actually go in there and do a little thing with it. Good way to kind of anchor yourself when you're drawing feet or placing feet on the ground. So you consider the heel to be a box shape, kind of like that. Croco actually just put out one of the more recent videos on the construction of the foot that goes more complex than even the shapes that I'm using here, but is also fantastic. So I'd recommend checking that out for feet specifically. Divot into there a bit. Oops. Yeah, so I was doing that last night, a little bit more I think from last night. Some quick studies and stuff. I think this was from, yeah, this is from warm-ups today, this morning. This is a pseudo turn, like a couple 3/4 turnaround, a little bit of warming up on the Loomis skeleton. It's me playing with like trying to put like some kind of anime proportions using the Loomis skeleton a bit. Some invented Loomis skeletons here and there. A little bit more like ball and socket construction and cubic construction and stuff on figures. Here I'm kind of loosening up a little bit more because you can play with this. You don't have to like get really tight and bogged down with it. You can play with this. The Loomis mannequin is a toy you can play with and have fun with. And that should be how you treat all your drawing devices. There's times when you can be meticulous and really try to nail something down. There's times when you can be playful and just have fun with it and loosen up with it. So on that note, what time is it? We got about, I'm gonna I'm gonna take well, I'm not really gonna take a break. We're gonna go straight into drawing in about 5 minutes or so. But if you should be warming up right now, doing those little geometric hand exercises and whatnot. I'm going to open the app I need to export some things I need for our drawing block, because I'm going to be putting up a bunch of Loomis skeleton stuff to draw from and copy from, And then we're going to be going to photographs and Russian Figure Academy models that we're going to be trying to apply the Loomis skeleton to. Also, you don't have to do the Loomis skeleton for this. You can, if you're an advanced person here, or if you have some other system that you're trying to wrestle with learning right now, it's totally fine to just do whatever for this session. Like, this is going to be about figure mileage for the rest of the session. But we're going to be going over this stuff. The first thing I'm going to show is we're going to be spending a good deal amount of time on, well, actually, you know what? For the first session, I actually don't need to export any of this. What I need to do is I need to full screen our Loomis Mannequin Turnaround page. So I'll bring up the best one of that I can use. And everyone should be doing a full turnaround of the Loomis Mannequin. Let me see. That's a good one. I'll use that one. Okay. Let's bring that on screen. And this, whoops. And this is what we're going to be drawing for the next, I want to say 25 minutes after we get started in a minute or two. We're going to be doing a full turnaround of this guy. Hopefully we'll have enough time in a half hour to get all of this guy. If not, I might do it for 1 hour total. But after we do this, then we'll be doing drawing from reference from some of the Loomis Mannequin dynamic poses, and we'll also be using reference, the photo reference that I have, and Russian Figure Academy reference, and Loomis, of course, mixed in there. Here, I'm just kind of warming up a little bit. And we'll be doing that for the rest of the session, which should be about 2.5 hours. It's gonna since we've just burned our first half hour explaining this stuff, it's gonna be another 2.5 hours of drawing. Hopefully you all are getting warmed up in cubes and stuff. I'm just gonna doodle a quick Loomis figure here. One thing I suggest when you're doing these is you draw a ground plane of some kind. I'm just like roughing in a little something to kind of define it. But I'll be talking through what I'm doing. I'm trying to get better at using these too. So I'll be talking about different tricks I'm approaching these with. It's a quickie Loomis skeleton with a lot of continuous line stuff in here to sculpt it. Like, a good thing to use when you're sketching stuff like this sometimes is to use, maybe not necessarily for the whole figure, but like for parts of it, using like a continuous line so you can kind of sculpt it out and feel it out three-dimensionally. But it's kind of the same principle as that tornado thing we were doing on Wednesday. Yeah, let's scoot that guy over to the side here. We'll do a turnaround now. Okay, Google, set timer for 25 minutes.
25 minutes, starting now.
Somebody asking, if I'm a beginner, should I be doing this on a paper or tablet? I would strongly recommend beginners stick with traditional. Draw with whatever you have available right now, obviously, but beginners should really be doing a lot of traditional drawing, because if you go too far into digital too early, it can hurt you. Alright, so first things first on this. This first pose is going to establish how we measure the rest of these. So I'm going to be doing a simple ovoid to start with for the head, but I'll turn this into a Loomis head. So all I really need for this, I'm not going to make it overly complicated. I'm not going to do a full Loomis demo. So I need kind of an ovoid sphere shape. And I need a halfway line cutting across it, and I need a halfway line cutting down through it. Now that I got that, I can use this as a unit of measurement for the rest of the figure. So I'll make sure that this is 8 heads tall this time, instead of the 7 that I put on earlier. Nice catch. Oops. So let's make sure that this duplicates properly. And don't worry about making these perfect. If you want to get meticulous with these, you can get meticulous with them as part of the homework. For this in-class stuff, you shouldn't worry. You shouldn't stress too much about making it perfect or not. Case in point, I believe this might be crooked a little bit. Let me check this real quick. Let's see, use my line tool. Yep. But that is easily fixed. Let's do this. Select the layers. Whoops. Cut this out again. Let's rotate it a little bit. I'm drawing like on an angle that's that's throwing me off very slightly, so I'm just gonna have to roll with it. But anyway, so we got that. I'm gonna make a little ground plane here. Make sure that's on a separate layer actually, so I can stretch it out if I need to, or move it. I'm going to need a lot more space for the rest of this guy, so I should probably stretch it out a bit. Let's make a big long line. How's that? Maybe scoot these guys over so I have plenty of space to move across the page. So I'm left-handed, so I'm probably going to start this on the right and move to the left. So we're passing down this, and I'll get started on my first pose. Let's move this guy out of the way, maybe down there. Okay. All right. So yeah, keep it simple. I'm going to keep it deliberately simple for this. Like that. That's the eye line right there, cutting halfway across the ovoid sphere. If I wanted to, I could go further into this to make this more of an actual Loomis head. I probably will for the profile view, but for at least the straight on, I just want an ovoid. Let's see here. Let's see what Loomis actually says up here for his measurements. He measures about halfway for the head, for the length of the neck. So you take about like this. Actually, we don't even need that, do we? We can just use this. The pit of the neck is somewhere about there. The top of the shoulders is about there-ish. Pit of the neck would be a little bit below it, I would say, actually. Top of the shoulders would be about here. Actually, like that. Let's take a good look. Let's say that the top of the shoulder should maybe be here. And if it's wrong, we'll fix it. I'm just kind of guesstimating based on what I think looks right. You don't have to follow Limus's guide exactly. So the bottom of the rib cage would be 3 units down. So the bottom of the rib cage is about here. Let's see where he places the pelvis. He goes another unit of measurement down for the pelvis. So the pelvis is somewhere around here. And the knees would be roughly about like knees would probably be about like 2 heads high up, I'd say. Maybe about here actually. But anyway, using these basic measurements, we can start to kind of fill in things a bit. And I might adjust it if something looks off. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make an egg shape here for that rib cage. Egg shape with kind of like the bottom cut off a bit right there. And I'm going to come up to about here, like on the forehead of that guy there for the landmark of where the rib cage opens up there, the sternum. And we got these anatomical landmarks here, and here. I think I'm actually going to mark them in red. So for the shoulders, actually going to make a little ball socket on either side about here. And I'm going to put what he has over the top of them, which is that pectoral line that sweeps up all over to the deltoid of the shoulder muscle. Kind of like a cape, like he describes here. That's going to add a little bit to the top there. Let's see, what else could I do? I could probably add a little bit more to the back of the cape, like that. So that's going around behind the figure a little bit. And so the length of the upper arm will go down to about the bottom of the rib cage. It's about there on either side. And then we're going to be working on the pelvis before we actually add the spine in. So let's kind of gauge like about where we should place the pelvis. I'm going to go maybe a little bit like how he has it, where he has the pit of the crotch a little bit below the measuring line right here. So maybe like halfway, like half of this or so. Half of the upper part of the unit of measurement of the head. And if this looks off, then I will adjust it as I see fit. I actually think I might have made the ribcage a little narrow, but that's okay for this. So the next thing is that you may notice that the pelvis on this, which is very important, the pelvis is made out of some ellipses and a bar kind of connecting between them. So, I mean, you could think of the pelvis as like this, sort of, like here. This side is facing us. There's this kind of connector between it for this mannequin. See, like that. And that's finding that little center point right there. That's going to be where the thigh bone comes out of, like that. Okay, let's move that off to the side. Of course, I'm going to show how it looks straight on and how Loomis, and the example that Loomis gives. So instead of drawing the ellipses straight away, I'm actually going to maybe use some lines to find the angle and placement of the pelvis and see if it looks right to me. So I'm going to go with this. And how Loomis has it in that example there, he has it with, he gave it a little bit of thickness so that we can see the plane facing us on this little disc, on it, the pelvic disc that he made. So I'm going to maybe add a little bit of that. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want an indication of it for the purposes of this study. I think one of them might be a little bit out too far or in too narrow. So. Yeah, but I'll adjust it later if it seems strange. Okay, so next thing I probably would want to do is probably add the thighs and maybe the feet, but instead of like handling it piece by piece, I'm going to actually do the whole leg. So I just kind of rough it in. And see if it's working before I commit to it. So I'm going to adjust that to the left, adjust that a little bit. Alright, so we got the knees about there. I think that's looking okay. I'm going to actually continue the arms now. So now I'm just going to go back and refine what I put in there so far. Let's make this little pelvic link up. This is actually further apart than they probably should be, but this is okay for this study. I mean, like, there's lots of times when you'll draw a Loomis mannequin with a pelvis this wide or something. I mean, it's just, this is just a mannequin. It doesn't have to be perfect unless you're trying to like make a perfect model. Like even this turnaround is not going to be perfect because it's just a class demo done quickly to kind of get an inventory for this quick sketch mannequin that we're going to be using for the rest of the session. So I'm feeling pretty confident about it, so I'm just going to just go for it and draw those forearms in. The forearms will be proportionally roughly about as long as the upper arm. A little bit added on here, coming about to here-ish, I think, for the lengths of the fingers. And we're not getting into complicated hand anatomy right now, so I'm just going to be simple shapes. We will do hand anatomy and feet, hands and feet, which are very difficult to do in the future. We will do specialized sessions on those. In fact, I might do some kind of thing in the future where we try to keep up like regular practice of hands, because hands are one of those really tough problem areas for artists. So keep a look for that on the horizon in the Discord. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do that and integrate it with the other stuff I'm teaching. But hands deserve like their own, almost their own class because of just how complex they are. Just kind of bowing this a little bit, just think of it. These are all just going to be simplified shapes. I'm going to add the kneecap about here. And I'm going to keep in mind kind of how Loomis did the interlocking shapes of the bone a little bit in his example. I'm not going for perfection here. This is a mannequin that is used to figure out, to solve drawing problems. and to understand things. This is not something that is used to make pretty drawings, although you can make damn pretty drawings with well-drawn Loomis mannequins. There we go. How much time we got? Oh, wow. We ate up a lot of time just doing this guy. I may truncate what else we do on this. I might do a profile view and a 3/4 view. I probably won't do a back view, like back view on this guy. I think we will probably do that stuff. Here, I'm going to preemptively make the lines here. The measurement. I'm actually going to go. I actually might just try to see if I can power through this really quickly, because I have my measurement lines here, and I'm pretty confident with the Loomis mannequin, so I could probably just go straight for it, you know. So let's keep it loose. If there's errors in it, no big deal. This is just a demo. So let's see, I'll throw like a quickie Loomis head with the side plane and everything in here. Not going for perfection, I'm just going to kind of roughly get this thing in. Get kind of a sweep to the spine here. Get that side disc with the pelvis. Get the rib cage in there. Get that ball of the shoulder joint. Let's get kind of the general shape of the skeleton, with the legs, angle there, with the bone, bowed backwards here. Loomis actually moved the arm a little bit in his. I'm going to actually use that myself. This is going to go like a little bit out, swinging back a little ways from its exact measurements here. But I'm still going to use the same measurements and the same proportions, roughly. So that means the top of the fingers would be about here-ish. At the bottom of the fingers, yeah. Alright. So use that chest, using that chest line from here. You can find about where that is. Let's add also that landmark there. Let's see here. Let's make sure the neck connects up as a C curve right here. Now I'll handle the cape sweep of the shoulders there, with going into the pectorals. Deltoids are going to be really fun to get into, because we are going to be doing specialized anatomy days for different sections of the body in these future sessions, where we'll focus on torso or other things, or like shoulder muscles or things like that. Anyway, you want to scrutinize your work and try to improve things and get better and stuff, but don't aim for perfectionism. If you aim for perfectionism, you're going to inherently beat yourself up and burn yourself out. You have to accept that you're going to be making lots of flaws no matter what skill level you're at. And it becomes like kind of a the ability of a master is the ability to either anticipate problems before they happen, or when you do make a mistake, you know exactly what to do to fix. You know exactly what to do to fix it, or you have a plan in place that works really well, or it's just so ingrained that you instinctively can, like, from muscle memory, know what to do to improve something. But that's what mastery can get you. And there's no shortcut to mastery. And that's what I want to eventually get to, through clocking and sheer mileage. I might actually extend the clock right now, because I think I have enough time to maybe get at least the 3/4 in. Oops. Oopsie. I drew the skeleton on the measuring lines, but that's no big deal. This is just a demo. Still haven't quite figured out how Clip Studio handles stretching tools sometimes. Let me see here. I think it was free transform. Oops. No. Well, I can just measure out from them. Alrighty, so the point of doing a turnaround like this, like, even if you don't get it perfect, it's just to wrap your head around using this guy. So I would strongly recommend doing this. I hope that a lot of you in here are following along, trying to make your own version of the turnaround of the Loomis skeleton, because that's going to get you so much more familiar with this guy. If you aren't, no big deal. Just do your best. You can maybe print out a copy of this image, and or the other images that I'm going to be showing, and or have it on screen. I'll try to maybe have some of the images on screen while we're doing this stuff. Maybe have some alongside the timed gesture poses we're going to be doing. And just do your best, especially if you're new to this. So I'm going to actually extend the timer. Okay, Google, add 5 minutes to timer.
Done. 5 minutes added to your timer.
So that should give us enough time to do 3/4 pose. And I'm going to actually use an animator trick for this instead of drawing over to the side there, because I don't have enough space to really see what I drew previously and then kind of gauge it. So I'm going to ghost these, and then I'm going to draw my 3/4 here, where I have where I have my measuring tools available for me right there. So I'm going to do a 3/4 Loomis head, just about. So I got that in place, and now I'm going to just do a quick C curve for the neck. Maybe scoot this guy over to the left here a bit. Make sure I get the overall sweep of the spine there. Make some ellipses down there. Pelvis. They're going to be narrower together than the drawing on the right, because they're turning towards us in space. I'm going to make my egg shape. I'm going to angle the egg shape kind of backwards a little bit. It's going to be wider than this, but narrower than this. I'll do a center line from the chin right here, base of the chin that I drew, down the front of the body, down to the pit of the crotch, right there. Let's get a dot right there so I can use that as a guideline for when I'm going to extrude the thigh. And then we're going to handle the rest of the upper body here. So let's maybe place the joints of the arms here. So about there, I would say, and about here. I'm guesstimating, mind you. So then, draw the arms. Yeah. Get the hands about here. This is going to get remarkably close to the inside part of the hand there. So let's see, the knees, I actually kind of want to use the front of the pelvis a little bit to kind of determine where they are a little bit, because they're turned a little bit towards us. I'm just kind of using this to sort of place the kneecap about where I think the kneecaps would be in relation to the pelvis. And you can refer to Loomis for this to help you make visual sense of this, because he has it pretty decently worked out. His drawing here is actually imperfect too. It's a working model. Like, you're supposed to not go for perfection with these. This is just like to gauge you in the ballpark for this stuff. When you're doing super dynamic figures, you're not going to be meticulously measuring them out. You're going to be drawing figures that, in your quick sketch, that are kind of just like in a rough guesstimated ballpark of proportions compared to like something like this. Open up the bottom of the rib cage there a bit. Curve that up over the arm. Have that go back around to the back of the body. Add that little bit of bulge there at the top of the shoulders. So we notice where, like, how Loomis has it, where it sort of curves around there and it then attaches into the body. That's maybe the quality I kind of want to go for with that curve for this model. And I'm going to do the last arm and then I'll be done on this particular guy. I might do a few touch-up things, but like for the purposes of kind of gauging me with this guy, this is a good study. So now I'll have this guy inside my head when I'm doing these. Or I can refer back to what I did. Okay, Google, stop. Okay, Google, set timer for 5 minutes. We're going to take a 5-minute break. I'm going to try to see if I can answer questions. I'm also going to hydrate.
A 5-minute timer called it to take a 5-minute break. And we're starting now.
It to take a 5-minute break. It to take a devastated when. I dedicate this wham to Lambo. Yeah, I think this guy's pretty narrow. That might be a consequence of the portrait mode that I'm drawing in here. And there's a few things that I could probably get a little better if I was drawing horizontally, but I mean, drawing in portrait mode has its own advantages since I started using it. Definitely makes showing off everything in my demos when I'm showing on-screen stuff a little bit easier, though. Is that not? Yeah. Let's maybe move this guy over here. Yeah, that's a partial. Whoops. That's a partial turnaround of the Loomis mannequin, basically. I think those hands are a little bit off. That bugs me. Just fix that real quick. And then, like, if you do one of these, like what I did here, I would probably maybe go back and like fix any of the errors. Like this error right here kind of threw me off. This error kind of here threw me off a bit. And then maybe do more of these. I'm probably going to do multiples of these throughout the week myself, and I will be assigning what we just did here as homework. But yeah, what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be getting a bunch of photo and mallow reference and also stuff of Loomis drawings themselves, and we're going to be doing timed drawings from them. I'm going to say maybe we should start with 5s, because that will help give people time to really wrap their heads around Loomis, but then we'll shorten it to like 3s and 2s. So I'm curious if anyone has actually done the turnaround that we just did and posted it to chat. Yeah, we got some people doing it. That's cool. Some people are producing pretty good results considering that we only did this in about 25 minutes on short notice. Like this one here. Why is this zoomed in? Yeah, this one's by Maggie in Discord chat. Yeah, it's a good little very loose, but pretty good study. You look like you might have drawn You might have drawn Loomis before. It's nice and loose for just like doing a quick study. I would maybe go back and tighten it up after class. I'm probably going to do that with mine and address some of the errors that I made. Yeah, the pelvis was handled pretty nicely. I could dig in and like show some of the errors that I might see in this, but we're gonna move on. I'm gonna be juggling some apps real quick. While I set up our gesture drawing session. I have to do some exports of the files that we're going to be using. Alright, so let's see here. Okay, Google, stop. Alright. I'm gonna go a little time over here while I get the images that we need loaded real quick. But we'll be starting in a little while. Let's see. I I think there might be enough stuff on these pages for us to play with right now, actually. I'm going to maybe throw a few more things in real quick. Figure photo reference. There we go. I'll combine the Loomis stuff and the Russian Figure Academy stuff. I think that would be a good combo. Then I get to shift between them as needed. Oh, there's skeleton stuff here too. I'll export that as well, actually. But I won't do that for this one. I want to get started right away on this. So I'm going to start us on 5 minute, and I'm going to use the Loomis folder that I just made, and we're going to do 5 minute Loomis studies of Loomis's work. Then we're going to move to Russian Figure Academy stuff combined with skeletons, and then we'll also do photos. So here we go. We're going to be starting with 5 minute drawings. There's going to be multiple drawings on some pages, and on those pages, just take your time with each one of them. So we'll start, I guess, with this. This is going to be 5 minutes. We just did this guy. So actually we'll shift past this one, I think. Do maybe this page for our first 5 minutes. Okay, Google, set timer for 25 minutes.
25 minutes, and we're starting now.
Alright, here we go. So here's where the real rubber meets the road on what we're going to be doing this evening. I'm going to put on some music for us. Let me know if the music is too loud or overpowering at any point, by the way. So what he's showing off here is how you can flexibly move the mannequin frame around. Use line of action, maybe like a little bit of the head as your starting point. Just take your pick of these. Like, we have 5 minutes to do these. You can focus on just one pose if you want, or you can try banging out several. Just take it at your own pace on this page. But for a Loomis quick sketch, try to remember like the stuff that we did on that page with the proportional figures, and then try to like do a sped up shorthand version of what we did there. Sort of riffing on the poses that Loomis has on this page. You can also try using what he's showing off here about trying to balance the figure in space, where he does like a vertical line from the floor up, showing like the balancing point. And then he has a couple of dotted diagonal lines on either side on the page, showing like how the figure balances itself in space, like when the arms are outstretched like that, to give a sense of balance to the pose. And you don't have to be perfect with these. Just Try to get a taste of how to use this stuff. So I'm messing up on this guy. I'm going to move on to the next one, and then I'm getting a little bit more warmed up. Oh, I almost forgot. There's a folder of How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way images. I'll sort through some of those during the break. I was going to use some of those tonight as well, because those are really good to segue from doing Loomis stuff into. They have a bunch of like very simply drawn mannequin figures that are basically done by people who used Andrew Loomis extensively to learn how to draw from. And so those would be really good to do studies from. And we'll use those this evening as well. Someone asked, are we supposed to do our own poses? You can if you want, but what I'm having people do right now is pick a pose on the page right here and try drawing it. We have about 50 seconds left on this page here. I want people to get used to using the Loomis mannequin in shorthand and in quick poses and stuff. Got about 30 seconds. And maybe see how quickly I could do one of these. This one's a little boring mannequin, so I might actually skip this page. There we go. Let me see what else we got here to work with in this folder. Oh, that's a good page. We'll use this one now. Alright, this one's for the next 5 minutes. So the other pages include figurative poses that are not the skeleton mannequin, but we're going to be using them too. And I want you to use the skeleton mannequin on them. Or whatever other drawing devices you're trying to practice this evening. I'm kind of inventing a pose here a little bit. If you are used to using the Loomis mannequin, you can also try inventing poses from it. Or if you feel comfortable with trying it out, feel free to. Like this guy's supposed to be a puppet and action figure that you can play with in your head and play with on the page. And they don't have to be perfectly drawn. They just have to be functional for what you're trying to learn and what you're trying to figure out or try out. And this guy you'll be combining with the other stuff we're going to be doing in the future classes here. It's not a very dynamic pose, but I felt like I needed to do a simple thing like that just to further warm myself up a bit. Be using this guy in shorthand. So I'm going to use one of the poses on the page right now. Oh dear, I had my mic off for that whole segment, didn't I? That sucks. Alright, I'm gonna take a quick water break. We're on a 5-minute rest break right now. But what I was trying to guide people through on that last stuff is I was trying to show, like, you're supposed to interpret. I want people to use this as an interpreting device for when you get photos or you get figures like these, to interpret them through the lens of Andrew Loomis mannequins, so that you basically have like a constructive tool to make stuff with. Yeah, I'm going to take a quick water break and then we'll be... So what I want people doing with the Loomis, just throughout this week, the Loomis mannequin throughout this week, is I want them to do more turnaround exercises with it to kind of get familiar with it. Do a lot of interpretive drawings using it, and also figure invention with it. So here I'm going to get the next batch of stuff ready for us. I have to use the PureF thing right here to extract what I'm going to be using. Let's see here. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
2 minutes and 14 seconds left.
Cool, we do have time then. Export these. So up next, we got pages of a bunch of skeletons and also some Russian Figure Academy stuff. Let's see if I have time to include the Marvel stuff. Yeah, I think I can do that. Alright, I'm going to yoink a bunch of image files I need for this, from How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. Let's see here. Some very Loomis-y images of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Girl. Let's try to include a good variety of How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way stuff in here. Okay, Google, stop. I'm going to go a little overtime just to grab this stuff and export it. Let's see here. Yoink, 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 yoink. Oh, here we go. That's a good page. Wow, there's a lot of good pages in here. Let's make sure I get this in the next minute or so. So we'll stay on schedule. This will be worth the wait, though, trust me. Wow, there's a lot of good shit in here. I think we might just go straight into how to draw comics the Marvel way stuff for the next sesh right here. I'm gonna put this maybe on 2s for this. Go. Almost done, almost done. Gonna get to it in a sec. Erase that. Alright, just gonna go straight into this now. So 2 minute, select folder. Next 5, okay. Let's go. Okay, Google, set timer for 25 minutes.
Sure, 25 minutes. And that's starting now.
So it's gonna be a lot of how to draw comics the Marvel way figures. So just use the principles of the Loomis mannequin on these. And also, of course, you can even use some of the stuff that you're actually seeing on screen here with this too. For how the Marvel comic artists would handle this sort of thing. Unlike the previous thing we did, we only have about 2 minutes for each of these. So these are going to go by really fast. So it's going to force you to make quick decisions. And try to be a little bit more bold with how you're drawing these. And it's okay if you mess up. Just pick yourself up and move on. You'll eventually start to pick up the pace of it. And if you need to, maybe use the guide that I have on the left there and try slowing down and drawing some of these. And then go back to the 2 minute poses when you feel ready. So you got about 15 seconds. If you notice the very simple way that they're handling like the pelvis and other things like that, and here with just like ovals and stuff, you could do that too, but try to include like that kind of cape thing that Loomis has, and the construction of how he handles the rib cage a little bit, and those little discs for the pelvis. So this is not very dynamic, is it? Well, we'll skip this one for now. Here we go. That's good. So this one, they're actually showing like how they, like Marvel artists will often like get really rough and loose when they're trying to figure out a pose. We don't necessarily have to go that rough and loose for this. We're gonna kind of simplify from what they got in a sort of a gestural cheat sheet using the Loomis skeleton. With the egg-shaped rib cage in there. The tilt of Thor's pelvis kind of towards us, and you can use the disc on Loomis's pelvises to kind of figure out where the side plane is and the tilt of the pelvis. Like I decided that the tilt is down this way. It looks kind of like that in the reference image, so I'm deciding to make it that way. I have to make these decisions quickly because I only have 2 minutes to draw this. Might be wrong, but so what? I gotta make those decisions and go with it. It's okay to make decisive wrong decisions, because you will learn why you were wrong when you go back to revise it or try to improve your methods or look at your work later and see what went wrong with the decision you made, so you can make better ones in the future, or you can try to fix it. Oftentimes, like after you get done with a figure drawing session, you might be so inclined to try to fix some of the errors you ran into when you were making the figures. Alright, so this page they're showing how the difference between a push pose and a like a pretty boring pose. Honestly, you could practice from either one of them. These two look like almost like two characters with different personalities and different levels of engagement or physical ability running side by side. One of them might be like a superhero, and the other character might be like a more normal sidekicky character who's barely trying to keep up with the hero in this particular panel. From how they drew these two example figures of how to push a pose and versus a more boring pose. It's deceptive, though, of course. Like you're not going to be using push poses all the time. Like lots of time for contrast, and like I was saying, like these two could be interpreted as being a pair of characters that are running side by side to each other, and how they're one of them is pushed versus the other one says a lot about one versus the other. So I'm not pushing my guy as far forward as the reference. I had to make that decision real quick from that first line of action I made. If I was going to do it over again, I'd probably push the line of action forward more, like how they have in the reference, but I'm just having to roll with this. I have to roll with it. I only got 2 minutes to draw these. So here we go. We got a lovely page of, I think I see Daredevil. Is that Daredevil? No, it's not Daredevil. It's Black Panther down there. Well, look at that kick down at the bottom. I'm going to use that one. That one's a really fun looking pose. Yeah, I mean, feel free to use the stream buffer as your cheat sheet, as your cheat, to give yourself extra time if you want, by whatever means necessary. If you feel you need extra time with a pose to really learn it, or really practice it, or whatever. When you're practicing, there's like you'll find little weird fun tricks when you're practicing sometimes to kind of eke a little bit more mileage in this way or that out of what you're doing. Something like using stream buffering is a good example of that. Yesterday I was figuring out how to use my iPad in conjunction with Chrome Remote Desktop to play videos that I've purchased of art instruction things that I'm trying to learn, so I have material to teach with here. And it was an interesting way to improvise how to use that stuff to draw and Procreate on one side of the page, and then have the video that's playing on my main desktop computer, and kind of in the iPad split screen. Oh, there's Luke Cage. Hero for Hire. What's cool is, like, because of how, like, plainly that they drew a lot of these on these on some pages like this, like, it kind of takes some of the guesswork out of the reference for you. I have a bunch of other folders of like stuff of figure drawing sessions on my other PC that I need to extract. So I built a new PC this last week that I've been running on my classes on, and I really enjoy it. It's a damn good PC. I have like zero slowdown issues when I'm streaming in the art programs I'm using. Not that I was before, but I mean the file sizes can get even crazier huge now on this computer for like the amount of layers I put in for the demos I'm doing. Let me include a side plane there for the lens head, and a little bit of the Marvel artist has graciously given us a center line on the torso there. There's Namor at a chapter break. Let's do him. It's gonna be fun. Do him nice and brash and bold. You really see those hips that he's got. I've always wondered if Namor was partly an influence on Vegeta in Dragon Ball for Toriyama. There's like some aspects of both his personality and his character design that seem like maybe Toriyama looked at like Marvel Comics and was influenced a little bit by them for Vegeta. Namor is a very anti-hero character. He's very proud of his people, and he dispenses his own version of justice that doesn't always line up with humanity. I like him as a complex character. That's when he's at his best. A complex character whose interests don't always align with like the rest of the Avengers or the rest of humanity and stuff. Even though his reasons might be entirely valid. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
There's 12 minutes and 38 seconds left.
Nice. We're about halfway through this. Hope you're enjoying the Marvel stuff here. I'm glad you like it. I'll try to get more like superhero comic stuff here for our drawing sessions in the future for sure. Actually, you know what? We are going to be using a Spider-Man figure that I have that I'm going to pose out and take tons of photos of in the coming weeks, which we will be using as our timed photo reference here. Reminds me, I need to do a plug for the donation drive I'm doing to get a John Asaro head for our head drawing class. I'll show that during the next break. Something like this. It's kind of tricky to do that cape shape from this angle. I just kind of approximate it. I only have 2 minutes to draw this, so let's do like indication. Maybe just like all I need is the shoulders, maybe. It's a nice page. I'm not sure when this book was made, somewhere in the mid-70s I want to say, originally. I think they added more to it over time, too. In later editions. I'd love to find some Japanese manga artist equivalents of books like this, to be honest, though. I know they're out there, but I don't know how many of them are translated. If anyone knows of any of what I'm talking about, hook me up. Oh, there's another artist that I wanted to use as fodder for tonight, but I couldn't really collect images in time for the class. Fabry. We're going to be using more of him in the future, for sure. But he's known for, among other things, the covers for the Preacher comic series. He's an amazing draftsman. There's a bunch of stuff by him and some anatomy. He has this one book called Muscles in Motion that I used to have a physical copy of but lost. I'm going to try to get another copy of it, and I might do scans of it or something for us. So I tried to find images from it in Google Image Search, and all I found was like photographs of people turning and bending the pages. Alright, let's maybe not use this guy. So I think for the next session we'll use Russian Figure Academy, and we'll probably close it out with photos for the evening. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
There's 8 minutes and 2 seconds remaining.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna have to stop for a second though, because my hand is... I think I've been stiffening up my hand a little bit more than I should. So I might want to give it a rest for a few minutes. Sometimes even when you don't mean to, you're supposed to draw from your arm. You can sometimes wind up drawing from your wrist. So I'm going to take a strange. I don't think I pushed the pose enough. Maybe it's the angle. More like this, maybe? Oof, yeah, I'm gonna have to take a little hand rest myself. Someone asked, are we going to find real-life reference photos and break those down to Luma skeletons? Yes. And you can also do the same thing with comic art, animation, well-drawn animation, preferably, like stuff that actually has good figure drawing principles underlying it, or manga, or whatever. Illustrations, classical art, and of course, like you said, photos. And of course, Loomis himself. And I also, this week's homework is going to be turnarounds, Loomis skeletons from reference, and invented Loomis skeletons. Because I want you to get used to playing with this thing as a tool to invent your own poses. I'm going to rest my hand a little bit more. I'm on basically an extended break because I need to rest my hand for about 10 minutes. But the rest of you should keep drawing. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
4 minutes and 53 seconds remaining.
Yeah. If your neck hurts from looking up and down too much, then that's not a good sign. You should be positioning yourself where you don't have to crane your neck, where you're at eye level, and where, like, when you look at your reference, you don't have to turn your head too much. Like, you can move your eyes instead of your neck. The best position for that is to have the drawing reference above or in front of you, so that you shift your eyes just upwards or downwards to your drawing space instead of having to turn your head. I'm in a position right here where I can shift my eyes to the monitor that I've got near me for referring to reference. There's actually about 30 seconds on this one. Let me see if I can pause it actually. There we go. Alright. Okay, Google, stop. So we got about 1 more hour of this. We're going to go over a... Okay, I'm having a little bit of fried chicken here. Alright. So, we're going to go over real quick to my donation plug real fast. Let's see if I got that set up right. Here we go. There we go. There's my donation page. I'll link it in chat also. In the future, I'll probably have like a donation link on screen or something. I've really got to finish my page layout in the future, but as you can see on the page there, I'm working on a donation goal through my Ko-fi page to get a Jonosaurio head, which is a planar structure of the head, mannequin head, that I'm going to be photographing for our Monday head drawing classes. And so if you want to help me, I do these classes for free, but if you want to help me pick up pieces of equipment that'll help me run the classes better, the current goal right here is for the Jonosaurio head. You can also subscribe to me on Twitch. That'll also support me, or send me bits on Twitch. Every little bit helps. Let's try to keep these classes free for everyone. But any little bit you can send that would help to improve the classes would be fantastic. Another thing that I wanted to give a plug to is I'm currently working on setting up my Patreon. Let's see here. I'm currently working on setting up my Patreon, and I'm going to be having a $5, it's going to be a $1, $5, and $25 tier. $1 tier is going to be just a thank you tier. I might give some special access for some things on there for the $1 tier also, but for the time being, it's just a thank you tier for anyone who wants to contribute. There's a $5 tier that's going to give people access to the images that I've been making for the class. These class demos. I'm going to be putting high quality versions of the images available on my Patreon. And then the $25 tier is going to be the PSDs and the Clip Studio Paint files, and possibly animation files in the future. Although I may make a second, I may make a separate tier for that, because the animation files tend to get pretty dense. But for the $25 tier, people will get access to my Clip Studio Paint files and my PSD files for the files that I make demos, that I do demo and warm-ups on for classes. In the future, there's going to be other stuff too. Like when I start there's going to be commission tiers. There might be a group tutoring tier where I do one-on-one tutoring with a small select group of people. I'm going to work out what I actually do for that, because I want to make it worth people's while, and have a good plan set up for what I do with that. And I'm going to be eventually gearing in the direction of making animated short, like mini films and stuff that I'm going to be putting online. Either like short animated clips posted to social media, or more ambitious little miniature film projects. And when I get to those, I'm going to, and when I get to doing those, then I'm going to be sharing a lot of like the development work and stuff as part of like Patreon tiers. And I might have like things like for my animation stuff. The Patreon subscribers get to see it before it gets posted, a day or two before it gets posted to social media or something. That one I might just have that one might wind up being the $1 tier availability or something. But yeah, there's things on the horizon. I will announce them on here when my Patreon launches, and you'll be able to. And I'll announce it through the Discord when my Patreon launches as well. So let's see here. How much time do we got left on our break? Did I set a break timer? I didn't, but I know it's been close to 5 minutes now. So, okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
It looks like you don't have any timers set at the moment.
Didn't think so. So we'll just go straight into the next set. I'm gonna use Russian Figure Academy stuff for this next one. Actually, no, skeletons. Skeletons will be for the next one. And I believe that is this folder here. So skeletons, we'll do it on 2 minutes. Whoops. There we go. Skeletons. Lovely. Alright, okay, Google, set timer for 25 minutes.
25 minutes. Starting now.
Someone asked, can I get personal advice if I donate? Maybe. You can, I'm pretty free with giving advice. It's at my discretion right now, currently, but in the future I want to set up a, something more formal where I get guaranteed critiques for people who donate to me at certain tier levels or something. For the time being, though, I'm gonna try to get to as many like critiques as I'm able to get to at my discretion. Because when I do the critiques, they're not just for your benefit; they're also for my benefit. Because I get better at my own skills from giving people critique. It's like a gut check. And you you get a little bit of practice out of doing drawovers of other people's work and stuff, and solving their drawing problems. So it's kind of been a mutual exchange thing, and then that's why I'm kind of, at least at this stage, generally pretty free with giving critiques. Definitely through the Discord. Sometimes I'll just like drop everything and do a demo for someone. Tomorrow, actually, there's a class. Tomorrow's is the animation class. We're starting a new animation class block called the Sakuga class. Sakuga class is going to be about studying and creating your own Sakuga animation. I'm going to assign throughout the week a topic matter for people to focus on, and try to animate throughout the week, and then turn it in a deadline before the next class. I tend to kind of wander there, and I did something that wasn't quite a Loomis mannequin, but it's still a good study for being a quickie 2-minute thing. Oh, Ko-fi is a donation page for. Oh, this one's a little stiff, but we'll stick with this one. Just do your best on this guy. This is a very I think this is a Gottfried Bomis skeleton here. Just do a quick sketch. You're not going to worry too much about accuracy on this guy. Do the same 2-minute approach that you did on the Marvel ones for this dude. Gottfried Bomis is worth slowing down to study, for sure. But we don't have time for that. We just have 2 minutes. Yeah, tomorrow, I haven't decided what the topic will be for this week yet, but I have about like 5 or 6 different things lined up, ready to go. But I'm going to try to pick one that I think would be a good one to kind of break the ice with, that's going to give people enough flexibility to to learn something from it without overwhelming themselves. But the topic each week is gonna be like design a punch, choreograph a fight scene, do a Utapon cubes explosion, stuff like that. I'm gonna try to gear it towards things that are gonna help give people like range to be creative. And I'll try to maybe set some parameters. I know I have some specific parameters in mind for like how simple you should draw your characters and stuff for some of them. Like for some of them I want people to not get caught up in the motion. In the detail of the character and stuff. I want people to concentrate on the motion first and foremost, because if they get caught up in the detail, they're just going to have to redraw that detail if they want to fix it or improve it. But tomorrow, even though it is an animation class, we are going to break the ice by doing some drawing studies of existing animation. I will also maybe do a really quick, limited full animation demo to kind of illustrate the principles I'm talking about for the lecture. But we're going to be going over some of the principles of what limited full animation is, and the kind of like pose contrast that you're going to want to go for in your pieces. We're going to be learning all this stuff together because I'm picking up knowledge and trying to redispense it as I gain it. And I have some friends that are big into Sakuga stuff, some of them who animate in it professionally, that I'm going to be consulting for how to improve, how to improve my own skills and also improve the quality of the studies. But based on past studies that we've done together through our Discord, we're going to get a lot out of grabbing clips, some of the clips I have lined up from Sakuga Guru to study from. It's a pretty boring pose, but this might be an opportunity to kind of reorient yourself a little bit. It's not really a pose, it's just a straight-on skeleton, isn't it? This is an opportunity to kind of reacquaint yourself with the basics of the Loomis skeleton mannequin. Someone asked, is it for monetization or you get coffee? Well, it's called coffee because like the minimum donation is like $3, which is about the price of a cup of coffee. But it just goes straight into my PayPal account, and you can donate any amount you want, but a minimum donation of $3. And coffee doesn't take any overhead cost. It just goes into my PayPal. Just takes their normal cut, basically. That's all. In the future, I'll probably try to figure out some kind of much more direct donation, so I don't have to deal with PayPal or anything taking a cut of the donations. But for now, it works just fine. I think my next donation goal is going to be a larger donation goal for a class improvement budget, because there's multiple things that I may have to juggle priority with in getting. I'm gonna have to make judgment calls about which one I'm gonna have to get first for whatever. I'll list some of them in the description of what I'm going to be going for, but it's going to be at my discretion of which ones I get in what order. The Patreon is also the coffee right now. I'm using just primarily for specific donation goals. Like I haven't spent a cent of any of that money on fun stuff for myself. But the Patreon, I will have some donation goals for the Patreon for myself. But the Patreon stuff is going to be my money to do with as I please. So I might buy some video games with a little bit of extra scratch from that. But I am going to have some donation goals there as well. Also, a fun fact, because I work in the entertainment industry, all the video games I buy are tax deductible. And they're technically research too, because I generally try to buy games that I can learn something from artistically. But yeah, Patreon is a way for me to raise personal money for myself, and I will of course be budgeting some of that, and I'll have like a budget breakdown a little bit. Or so far, I've just got a note about like I'm going to be budgeting a portion of the Patreon money for class improvement, and a portion of it's just going in my pocket, which is how it should be for that. Yeah, if you work in the entertainment or games industry and stuff, you like any films you buy. I mean, if it's your profession to be a professional artist and stuff, like you can even make if you're like a YouTuber that does media criticism or something, you can make any of your purchases tax deductible also. I didn't get that other arm, so I'm just gonna invent one here. These are some really nice skeletons here. I like that one dude down at the bottom there. I'm gonna do him. Hope you guys are enjoying this. We got one more session after this one. I might have us do the Russian Figure Academy figures, but I think we might try doing live action photo reference instead, because I kind of want people to get juiced up to do that throughout the week. But the Russian Figure Academy pictures are fantastic. If you want some excellent study aids to study from, and to learn from, Google image search Russian Figure Academy drawing, and there's just tons to pick from. There's also giant-ass art books of that stuff where there's even more of that stuff. Most of them are printed in Chinese, though, for some reason. And one of the Russian Figure Academy instructors actually has a new Masters Academy video course you can get if you subscribe to the new Masters Academy website. I think it's like $40 a month or something. And they usually have deals or specials. Yeah, this is Michelangelo's David right here. I don't know. I'm not quite sure who did this particular study, but this looks like a Gottfried Bomis thing. No, this is not. It's just something else. I think this is from a video, actually. A video demo of like a paid course, and this is like one of the thumbnail images for the or the sample images from like what's in the video or something. Like I found this, it's like, ooh, that's a darn good skeleton, I'm gonna use that. I try to look for stuff that's well drawn and clear for this sort of thing. Like, you don't want to use crappy reference that has like crummy drawing habits in it or whatever. Your reference, you're going to be as good as the reference you use to study from. In the long run, that is. Like, it's going to take me years if I want to be anywhere close to any of like the Russian Figure Academy stuff or whatever. What happened to the tunes, though? That's what I want to know. Oh, YouTube did the "Are you still here?" thing right now. So I'm gonna fix that. There we go, royalty-free synthwave. It's a really plain pose, but I mean, this is an opportunity to, of course, reacquaint yourself with the basic skeleton. I may actually change it to the Russian Figure Academy folder for partway through this. Maybe after this image, actually. Unless they give us a particularly good image to use in the next one. Drawing is like playing Cuphead. Yeah, you get better at it the more of it you do it, though. But you're gonna be running your head against the wall, very much like Cuphead, or Dark Souls, or whatever other card game analogy you want to use. See, like all that time you spent trying to get good at Cuphead, you could have been spending getting good at something like this. Not that playing those games isn't fun and valuable in its own way. But, you know, when you're trying to get good at something like this, video games can sometimes be a distraction. For me, I've been partitioning when I play games. Like, it's usually just on Sundays or Saturday evenings when I play them, with some exceptions. And I've been skipping out on playing video games lately. So I actually did not do the Luma skeleton this time, I just did an actual box form skeleton. I think we're going to... we'll do this one. We'll do this one, and then I think I want to shift it to the Russian Figure Academy models. What's great about those is like there's a lot of them that are not nude, and they're fantastically well drawn. So not being able to draw nudes is a big problem. Not gonna lie. We're trying to figure out in our Discord how we're going to handle like teaching nude figure classes. So I think we're probably going to make it like a separate section in the future for art nudes that you have to be vetted to get in on or something. My arm's getting a little exhausted right now. May have to take another short. May have to pick another premature break. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
7 minutes and 27 seconds to go.
Alright. Looks like we got about 18 seconds on that. I'm going to switch it over to the Russian Figure Academy stuff. Oops. Hang on one second. It's a really nice skeleton though. Shame we're not going to use that one right now. We get some mix number 3. go. So this is the Russian Figure Academy stuff. I strongly recommend looking up more images on Google Image Search or wherever to get these to study from, because they're really great. What is up with my mouse DPI? I hit something and now it's like crazy fast. I think I need to mess with some mouse settings later. So for the rest of this set, I'm going to try to keep my arm nice and loose. Which is what I should have been doing anyway, but I was like not feeling confident, and I tend to tighten up when I'm not feeling confident. You want to watch that. Sometimes you might tighten up when you're like really trying, when you're like not feeling confident, you start defaulting to try to be more precise with your drawing. When in reality, what you should be going for is trying to loosen up, so you get more dexterity going and more of the blood flowing to your arm and stuff. "30 seconds, that's nice." Yeah, I might make a nudes class tier on my Patreon, and then I do like a special hidden class at least once a week or something, where it's like me and a bunch of other people studying art nudes. That might be one way to handle that, because like you can't get around it. You need to study art nudes if you want to improve at art. If you want to master art. Yeah, I'll look into it. I definitely am interested in the idea of exploring it as a Patreon tier. I might actually like do it on like my own server, my own personal server or something, and then you get special access to it if you're a member of that tier. I might need to vet people for it just to make sure that they're 18 and older. But we're not going to be looking at anything pornographic. It's pretty much just going to be like academic art nudes. Like the most we might look at is like some erotica stuff, but like not stuff that's like hugely like bad. So instead of doing the figure, the Loomis skeleton, I started doing a regular figure because I'm sort of getting tired, and so my brain is sort of switching on and off. Let's see, maybe I can put some of the Loomis stuff into it. All I really need is those little circle pelvis things. Yeah, I've been drawing, it's going to be close to like 7 or 8 hours I've been drawing today. So I'm trying to clock in my practice mileage. Are you? I'm going to have to rest my arm after I get done with this too. But I might do some more sketching before bed. I'll do it on my iPad or my sketchbook. Just something really small. Maybe a few Loomis heads. I don't know. maybe some doodled notes about what we're going to be doing tomorrow in the animation class. What I'm probably going to do after I get done with this, in addition to resting my arm, I'm going to be doing some problem solving about which of the things I'm going to pick for tomorrow's animation class. That's going to be at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. So I inherently have to keep this pretty loose right now so I don't destroy my hand. So another thing too, like I want to, part of the budget that I'm going to be raising money for on Patreon and whatnot is going to be for traditional art materials. I want to make like a traditional art demo setup. I actually have a figure drawing bench that I built that I can do that on, but I need to get a webcam that I can use as a down shooter, basically. On my drawing pad, and I need a budget to work with for buying like the charcoal pencils that I need, and other traditional materials I might need. Okay, Google, stop. All right. Okay, Google, set timer for 5 minutes.
Sure, 5 minutes. Starting now.
Let's pause this guy. There we go. Ooh, my hand. Alright, I'm definitely going to need to rest my hand a little more. Shake that out. I'm not supposed to be drawing. Oh wow, someone gave me 500 bits. Thank you very much, Dorito. Dorito. For the 500 bits. Let's refresh that. Thank you very much. Let's see if I got any subs. No, doesn't look like I got any subs. And the last person to give me bits was the Captain Fire from 4 days ago. Thanks again for that, by the way. And Blue Nest, who gave me a Prime sub 2 days ago. Thank you very much. I'm going to take a look at Ko-fi, actually, to see if anybody donated during the stream. If anybody donated to me during the stream, usually before the end, I try to give them shout outs. There was an anonymous person who gave me a donation of 21 bucks. They said they didn't want to be identified in DMs to me, but their support was very much appreciated. I like how the pause button looks like it's covering up his dingus. Even though this isn't really a nude. Well, it is a nude, but it's not showing the naughty bits. Just the buttocks. Which I don't believe is against Twitch terms of service. It's just breasts and genitals. It's really weird how much nudity that like you can get away with in the games that you play on Twitch, though. The class is going to be our last 25-minute session in a little bit. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
There's 1 minute and 11 seconds to go.
Cool, this will be our last set. Yeah, if your back is exhausted, there might be a problem in how you're sitting. I might, in the future, do something to address proper posture for sitting to draw. Because if you have good posture when you're drawing, you're not going to get exhausted as easily. I've been making a bad habit out of drawing from my wrist today when I shouldn't be, because I was lacking in confidence with drawing some of the stuff earlier. Alright, so we're going to maybe close out with figure photo reference. So we will use parkour photos to close out. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
T minus 3 seconds.
Okay, Google, set timer for 25 minutes.
Done. 25 minutes added to your 5-minute timer.
Okay, well, guess we're going. This is going to be our last session. These are going to be 2s. Let's get some Loomis skeletons out of these parkour poses. See if I can get at a better angle so I'm not holding up on my wrist. Yeah, I think that was the problem. I wasn't leaning the drawing pad back far enough so that I could rest my arm. Yeah, this is much better. Only 34 viewers left after we started with like 80. Just for once, I'd love to see like we close out with the same amount of viewers we peaked at, or close to it. It's like, see how many of you softies can stick around to the end. Yeah, the homework this week will be work on your turnarounds, do multiple turnarounds of the Loomis skeleton, of the 5 poses, on that, not this page, but the other page, the one that shows the full turnaround. Just work on getting better at it, basically. As dynamic as I would have wanted, but it's gonna be the turnaround. It's gonna be use photo and drawing reference to create Loomis poses, like what we did in this class, basically. I want you to aim to 1 to 3 pages or more of that. And last bit of homework is 1 to 3 pages of invented Loomis figures. Like once you start wrapping your head around using this guy, try freeballing it. Try inventing poses and stuff. Because I want people, like I said earlier, I want people to get in the habit of using these tools to create and invent. And play with it, because it is a posable figure that you can use to solve figure drawing problems. 20 seconds. That one's a little bunched up, but give it your best shot. And we're in Ovoid for the head, or Loomis head. You may have a Loomis head side plane there. Yeah, I'll take that actually much more like this. Okay, add the egg shape preemptively for the chest. A little bit of a line of action down through here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You are guesstimating to an extent, after all. Yeah, I should have leaned back the drawing pad sooner, because like now I'm not having any problems with my hand. I'm still gonna have to rest it after this, but I'm not gonna have to end my little drawing session early. Pay attention to your body when you're drawing, and your hand, and your arm. So you don't want to wear yourself out or give yourself injury, like I almost did. You should be setting up your drawing pad and your posture so that you don't strain yourself. That means longer drawing sessions, that means not destroying your hand, arm, back, or whatever. I need to make some additional adjustments actually to my chair too in the near future. So tomorrow should be hella fun. I haven't picked the topic, but we will be studying all the materials that I've picked for whatever topic I picked to focus on. It looks really, really fun. So we're going to be doing a lot of studying and drawing from really fun stuff. And mind you, what we study tomorrow, the subject we picked to study tomorrow, we are going to be doing our own version of it, of the same idea. That's generally how the class is going to go. We'll pick some really cool piece of animation, or maybe multiple clips of animation, break it down, study it, try to learn from it, and we'll be, throughout the week, trying to create our own clips of animation that will reinterpret and reuse some of the ideas that we've studied and broken down in our own ways, with our own characters, or our own little stand-in rough puppets, or you can use your own original characters, or use characters from existing model sheets if you want. But I think that's the best way to teach, by getting people to do. Yeah, it's going to be a class where you have to turn in homework before the deadline if you want to get critique. We're going to do class critique every week. The way the class is going to go is generally like I will be teaching a particular topic, and I'll be doing it through showing clips of animation masters, of like really cool ass animation that shows off the principle that I'm talking about. I might do demos that are more specialized for that, but that's the main focus is going to be studying existing animation. And then we'll do like a breakdown, and we're all going to be basically studying it together, and trying to glean information from it and drawing from it, kind of like what we're doing here. And then throughout the next week, we will try to apply the ideas from it into our own work. We'll stage it our own way, from our own camera angles, our own timing, our own characters involved, but the same basic principles that we studied. This is a tricky one, isn't it? It's upside down. Kind of throws off your sense of the model, doesn't it? But never fear, Linus is here. You can find yourself a little bit easier by adding that little pelvic disc. That's helping me right now. Just remember, it's egg-shaped for the torso, kind of. And you can do the arms, and then you can add the cape part last. Kind of like that. I may find some way to structure the class in the future so that I basically wind up doing my portion of the homework during the class too, but we'll see. I ideally want to set things up so I can be continually working on animation throughout the week, and that's the goal. So we'll try to pick something that we can all get really jazzed about to work on, so that we'll want to like come down to the drawing desk to do cool shit with it. I might omit too much detail. Let's just do this. That's all I need. So you can take your pick of which of the poses you're going to do for this one. Wish there was there has to be some kind of like bonus I can give out to people in the audience in the future who stick around to the end, you know? I'm gonna think about that. I know there's like different tools that might be helpful with that. Yeah, even if you aren't able to donate, just sticking around to the end of this session helps me. I kind of like how this one turned out. It's nice industrial, has a good feel to it. So next week is going to probably be block mannequins. This will build on the knowledge that you've gotten out of doing these throughout this next week. So get a lot of these under your belt. What you do here is going to carry over into the block mannequin. Well, it's either the block mannequin or it's the Riley rhythms. I forget which. I'll see. There's a curriculum roadmap I have for myself, but I don't have it handy. So. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
There's 8 minutes and 40 seconds to go.
Cool, about 4 more poses then. Home stretch, folks. I hope this is exhausting for people in the right way. Like, it shouldn't be exhausting in a, oh, my back hurts, oh, my hand and arm hurts way. It should be exhausting in a, this is a taxing of my knowledge and my manual dexterity way. Like your hand might be a little sore after doing it, after drawing properly if you haven't built up the hand dexterity yet. But look on that draw box page that I had on screen earlier, and that tells you how you're supposed to hold your wrist. And I think it talks a little bit about your how to sit with correct posture so that you're taking pressure off your back and your arm, so that you can have these extended drawing sessions where you don't hurt yourself and you don't overly fatigue yourself. Yeah, I really enjoy these sessions. I'm still concentrating on art fundamentals because I don't feel confident about going too deep into character design and stuff just yet. So the lion's share of what I do is going to be stuff like this. But like with the animation class and some other things, I'm going to be inching in the direction of my own work, of making my own character design drawings and portraits, and utilizing the fundamentals to make the cool shit that I want to make. That's the goal all along with this. I want to make cool shit, but I want to have it be drawn reasonably well. I want to execute my ideas better. It's part of what tomorrow's going to be about. Tomorrow's going to be about trying to find an outlet for this kind of stuff that we're doing. like the figure drawing that I've been doing and the art fundamentals that I've been doing and studying all throughout the week, reapplied back into the medium of animation. Also, in addition to this, I would highly recommend showing up for the quick sketch class that's on Wednesdays, because we will be doing more stuff like this in that. This class is going to be shifting in the direction of long poses. There'll still be short poses and stuff too, but this class is going to be moving in the direction of long pose drawing, where we do like really long 5, 10, 15, 25-minute poses. Like really sit with and scrutinize a figure model and stuff. But for the time being, we're going to be digesting these principles and becoming familiar with them so we can use them when we get to the longer pose stuff. And of course, we're going to lap back around after we get done with the block, and we'll go back to basics again. That's kind of how we're doing the head drawing class right now. We just completed 6 weeks as of last week, or actually 5 weeks of the particular way I was teaching heads, and we're redoing the stuff that we started with, which is the Andrew Loomis heads, and then we're going to be doing skulls tomorrow, Monday. No. In 3 days on Monday. Next Monday. I'm getting exhausted. So I have been drawing for a long time today, so I should not put a huge amount of pressure on myself right now. Just kind of ease it. Just kind of feel the flow a little bit. Yeah. There we go. I'll add a little bit of dimensionality to the knees. Just keeping it loose because I don't want to put too much pressure on my hand right now. Okay, Google, how much time left on timer?
T-minus 1 minute and 24 seconds.
I believe this is actually our last pose, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Yeah, we will stop after this pose. Alright. Very nice. I'll just pause it there in case anyone wants to draw this guy. But I am going to rest my wrist. Wow, full 3 hours. We got through 3 hours and 6 minutes together. So, assuming you guys did the warm-ups with me and the turnaround with me, we got about 3 hours of drawing in today. Should be proud of yourselves, everyone who stuck around to the end. And of course, the people who had to leave early for whatever reason, they should be proud that they clocked in some good time today too. But you troopers that were able to stay around to the end, fantastic. So I'm going to give a quick check of my coffee page to see if there's any shout outs I can give. Nope. But yeah, I'm going to... Okay, Google, stop. I'm going to do a quick self-plug, I guess, before we wind down. Yeah. Thanks again to Herito for the 500 bits. I'll do a little refresh of that. But yeah, if you have any little bit of, if you're able to donate small amounts, if you have an unspent Twitch Prime sub, you'd like to be able to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be streaming Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday for these regular art classes. You'll get a sweet little Astropug emoticon that I drew myself in here. That's in chat right now. If you sub to me. You can also send me bits, and you can go to my Ko-fi page to donate to me directly, which I'm going to link in chat again. I want to keep these classes free, but generous donators who are able to help me improve the classes are always welcome. And of course, my Patreon page I'm going to be launching over this next weekend, so pay attention for that. I'll be announcing stuff about it in our Discord, and and I will also be talking about it during my future streams after it launches. Someone said I need to block in the figures in more 3D form. That's something I have to work on. Well, good news for you. I don't know. I have to double check the curriculum, but if not next week, the week after, we're going to be doing cube forms for the figure box forms and stuff. But yeah, thank you all for coming. I'm going to run the congratulations screen now.
Congratulations.